Hello all, I had a really good idea that I could possibly show you how I shade and do lighting in a drawing. I'm going to use one of the drawings that I've been doing, and I've only done really the hair. I'm not really finished with the hair, and I've gotten the base colors on there, so I thought it was a perfect opportunity. Let's get started. To start off, I like to put all of my elements of the drawing on different layers. One's for skin, one's for clothing, etc. On these layers, I usually have them on alpha lock. This makes sure that I do not go outside of the lines or the base color that I have put onto that layer. Let's start with the skin on this example. I make note on where the sunlight is hitting my figure in the drawing. I decide that I want the sun coming down from this way, from the top left corner. For the entirety of this drawing, I'll be using Wattlebird, which is in materials on Procreate. We are basically going to do a little light map, where we just map out some of where the light hits our figure. And I have no idea why I turned down the opacity, and I figured it out later. Anyways, don't do that. This is full opacity, unless only a little bit of light is coming down to your figure. We want the light to be pretty strong in this. I put a little area on the nose, some on the neck, any light that's kind of coming through. Again, keeping note of where my light source is in the picture. I'll highlight some parts of the chest, and in the side arm area, same color, same high opacity, and we're not really worried about where the shadow is going to be right now. Don't worry about accurate shapes or even shading it in all of the way, and maybe even areas where there's a little bit of a cast highlight, a reflection basically. We're also going to do this with the hand. I actually have a plan where this hand part is going to be a little bit blurred, as if it's reaching into the camera a little bit, so the detail on this isn't going to be as important as the face. Still, for this example, we'll keep it all the same. Then I like to go with tiny amounts of details. Small areas where you wouldn't think that there's too much light. Next, we're going to do Gaussian blur. Make sure that your layer is on alpha lock still. Top left wrench, Gaussian blur, and we're only going to do a very small amount, maybe like a 10-11% Gaussian blur, just to make it kind of look like it's been kind of cast by some sun or a natural light, as if she's outside. Outside light tends to be a little bit softer. Not always, there's always exceptions to the rule, but sometimes. In this case, my light source is sun. Once we're done with the light, I like to do shadow. I add a layer on top of that one layer and do clipping mask. This makes sure that whatever is on that layer mimics what's below that layer. So you cannot go out and draw on something that is outside of whatever has paint on that bottom layer there. Really handy if you want to layer certain elements, like shadow or light. Makes it easier for you to manipulate what's on those layers. I like to take the main color and then make it a little bit darker for some shadow. And then I kind of do the same thing as I did with the light. I make basically a shadow map around the hair area or places that are closer to the skin of the figure, such as bangs. And to note, the closer the thing is to the skin or wherever your shadowing is, the sharper the shadow. For instance, if I was outside in natural light and I had a hand hovering over a table, there would be a shadow. But as I gradually moved my hand farther away from that table, the shadow would become softer. If I moved it closer, it would become a little bit more sharp, a little more shapely. Here, we are just mapping out some of where our shadows will be. As you can see, I am making some of those small shadows, which is good. You can still do that. If you want to do a sharper pen for some of those bangs, you can definitely do that too. And again, just keeping a note that our light source is coming from the left-hand corner. Looking back on this now, I probably would have put the shadow in a little bit of a different area, but that's okay because we are on a different layer, which means I can manipulate it very easily. I think it's also important to note that you can kind of zoom out and check on how everything is sort of looking. What are the places that you need to shadow still? Little details, like I like the shadow around the eyes. I think it makes the eyes pop a little bit, makes them look like they're not just 2D a little bit. Also, don't forget the hands like I did. That's why it's important to kind of zoom out and kind of look over what you're doing. Sort of amending where shadows kind of end up going. And doing the same thing with the hand, even though I'm not going to go into too much detail on the hand since it will be kind of blurred. Then just like the light, I like to blur it. I don't like to blur it as much as I do with the light though. So kind of like maybe around 5%. And then again with Wobblebird, I like to go in and kind of edit some of the shadow, move some things around, maybe drag around some of those colors and kind of blend it in, making note what needs to be shadowed more and what does not need to be shadowed. For instance, here I'm just kind of dragging this shadow out to make it a little bit more blended, and same around the eyes. I will go in and with a different pen, I like Syrup, to kind of make those finer lines of certain shadows, especially around the bangs, because those are close to the face. Sometimes I also like to make dynamic shadows, which basically is you isolate that layer, the layer you have your shadow on with Alpha Lock, and then you choose a slightly darker color or maybe a more vibrant color like a red, and you basically shadow some of your shadows, basically making different colors within your shadow. Oftentimes these colors are blues, purples, reds, and pinks. Sometimes you can even do this with the light as well. If you have any comments or questions, please always DM me or comment on this video. Thanks for watching. Bye!